Hi, everyone. It's Laura here from Intentional Household.
And I'm Alex Wilson, the one that benefits from Laura's household, her husband.
And this is episode 1 of our podcast.
On today's episode, Laura's going to go over why she started Intentional Household. And I'm going to give insight in regards to how our household runs with intentionality. And I'll give you a hint. It takes some work. But if you do these things, you'll be able to spend time on the activities that you want to do and get rid of all those draining tasks that are really eating you up inside and preventing you from living the life that you want to live with yourself and your family.
Alex, can you recall the first moment when you realized we needed something like Intentional Household in our own lives and in our household?
Yes, no, I can very much. So remember that you were sitting in a chair with our first child, and you're laughing and smiling when I'm telling the story. And I have a busy real estate career, and you realize that, and we discussed just you can't time the birth of your child, and the birth of our first daughter, Sloan, was at a very busy time for work. And I relayed that information to you, and you accepted it, and Sloan was born, and I was busy with work, but you had all the help set up. But about 6 weeks in, you said to me, as I was going out for another appointment,
It wasn't an appointment. It was
no,
a social event in the evening.
all those social events were important appointments to build the network back then. But anyways, you stopped me as you were, well, not stopped me. You just looked at me with your eyes into my soul and said, Alex, we need you. And if you want to be part of this household and be part of this family, we need you here now. And it was a light bulb moment for me going, wow, I have responsibilities as a father and a parent, and I want to be part of this family. And Laura told me she needs me to be here for that. So we need to put things in place to do this. Now, anyone that knows me personally knows that is definitely not my skill set, setting up systems and processes. Luckily, the life partner that I have, Laura, my lovely wife, is excellent at doing those things that come naturally to her. So that was really the moment that my buy-in came that, okay, I need to change how I operate. Luckily, I had a person that could enact that change.
Very interesting. I didn't think you were going to say that because for me, I don't think I realized that we needed something like what we've built until our third child.
Well, I will say that you started with the processes subconsciously at that time. Just look at it, think of it. When I said to you, even before Sloan came to this world, I said, I'm not going to be around for the first 6 weeks of our child. And you had everything running smoothly. There was not an issue at all. I really wasn't there that much. But you had systems in place and no issues at all. So subconsciously, you had already set up systems. Now, when you look at our third child, I remember that moment very vividly. You were sitting there one day going, wow, why am I paying someone else to play with my children? And I'm in the kitchen doing meals, cleaning, and everything like that. This should be the other way around. Now, at the time, you did realize that a nanny was required, but at 18 months, you had already set a plan in motion before 18 months even hit. But even you would set a plan in motion to going, okay, I'm going to transition away from the childcare component, and I'm going to get a housekeeper / cook because that's what I actually want and need. And then I can focus on my children while someone else is doing those. And you'll hear us say these a lot, draining tasks that I dread and do not want to do. And that was you realizing that, hey, I'm creating systems in the household to focus on what I want to do. And I'll tell everyone on that is listening, my wife does not like to suffer. And Laura, can you explain that a little more?
So for me, there's no benefit to suffering. I get nothing out of it. So if I have to take on a lot, or if Alex is not around to help out, for me, the solution is finding someone who can help, so that I can enjoy my life in addition to my kids enjoying themselves, Alex getting his work done. I don't see it as someone having to suffer because that's not going to accomplish anything from my perspective.
And Laura's amazing at delegating, communicating, holding accountable, and finding the people to do those tasks that she doesn't want to do. And I truly see it as her superpower, as someone that I'm not good at that. And I'm someone that would suffer in silence doing things that I don't want to do. And it was a real eye opener for me, coming from a Irish Catholic background of suffering, that, hey, you know what? Just put your nose down and just do the work, as opposed to, wait a second, there's someone else out there that can do the work. This isn't worth my time doing this. Why don't I focus out on activities that I actually like doing, or that is better off for the household that I'm working on, because it derives a better income for the household, as opposed to doing these other tasks. And it was huge to see Laura live this life, and set these systems and processes up in the household.
I guess also, if I'm going to go back to the suffering, like the suffering doesn't bring out the best in me. And as you can see, I can be mean, I can be angry, not nice, cold, and it's not nice for my family to be around that, right? So
But people don't see that. People don't see that side of Laura, because the great thing is
yeah.
when she gets into that territory, she's like, well, I don't like the person I'm being right now, so I'm going to remove these triggers in my life to put me in the place where I'm my best version of myself.
Yeah, exactly. So then, in turn, I can be my best self, and my kids can see that, and I can role model that to them, and role modeling not suffering to them, because
Wow.
I don't want my kids to suffer.
You know what? That there is a great motivation for people. Just think of that by living the best version of yourself, where you are in that space where you are happy, you are being a role model for your kid. So your motivation to live your best self has nothing to do with you. It's actually being the best version of yourself for your children. I just came up with that. Like, not came up with that, but I just, like, that was like a light bulb moment for me. It's not even about you. It's about being the role model for your kids.
But I feel like that is exactly how we have been living. We are trying to be our best selves, Alex, so that we, like, our kids can see that, and we can model these positive behaviors to them, so that they hopefully can grow up to want to be the way we are or were as parents, so they can take those positive traits and be those parents, versus taking a stressed out us, right? Like, mean mom throwing dinner on the table. That's me. Seeing those behaviors, seeing how it's not benefiting anyone. And rather than looking at that behavior and being like, I don't want to be exactly how my mom was when she had to serve dinner, right? They're looking at us being like, oh, wow, she really took care of herself. She managed her stress. She delegated tasks to other people so that she really could be present when she's with us and enjoy life and take care of her, and do all of that. As someone who's passionate about maximizing your time and productivity, what do you think sets Intentional Household apart from other companies or systems?
Well, I can say that no one else is doing what you're going to do for them. And the whole realization is that there are organizations out there that can give you systems to follow and everything like that. Um, but as you know, your husband personally isn't someone that's going to follow systems, or your husband is someone that has difficulty coming up with systems. And when you started this company, and I said to you, the biggest issue people are going to have is you can tell them everything to do, but that isn't the issue. The issue is that they don't know how to do it, and they want to jump over the fence, but the idea of jumping over the fence is just too difficult for them to overcome. So where intentional household is unique, is that you sit down with someone and you go over there. Well, let's go over what energizes you, what you like to do. Okay, let's then go over all the things you don't like doing. Then let's do some personality profiling through Colby and Print, which you're certified in both, to learn how you operate. And then now let's go in and find people to help you, those intentional partners, to help you delegate those tasks, to eliminate those tasks. They take over those tasks. But again, you're holding their hand through that to show them actually how to find those people. A lot of the times when you talk to people, like they always go to you, Laura, how did you find your nanny? Or Laura, how did you find this person? How did you find that person? They don't even know how to take the steps to find the people. And then once they find the people, they don't know how to communicate to the people. And guess what? That's okay, because you're probably not an HR professional. So why would you know how to effectively communicate with those people? How would you know how to effectively hold people accountable? How would you know to even draft up a job description? How do you know how to set up payroll? All these things where you're looking at them, you're going to fail even before you start, because you're going to see this mountain of things that you don't know how to do. And you're like, there's no way I can even hire the person that I need to help me, because I don't know how to do all these steps. So what truly makes intentional household different is you're going to hold their hand and show them how to do these steps. Laura, how much have I spent on coaching over the, well, you don't even know the number, but
Yeah.
how much coaching have I done over the years?
Yeah. Extensive. I mean, it's been 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, eight years of coaching, specifically strategic coach. So shout out to anyone that's strategic coach out there. Laura's also in strategic coach now. We're big believers in strategic coach. I spent a significant amount of money reprogramming my mind so that I can think like this. I was not raised like this, not at all. This is a complete reprogramming that I had to do with my mind through these various coaching programs, and that's where I learned that one of the biggest things out there is there isn't that how component, showing someone holding your hand to give you confidence, to show you how to do things so that you can eventually walk on your own.
So once clients go through the entire process of intentional household, how do you think they will feel, and how do you think it will impact their lives?
Well, it's going to be massive. And why I mean massive, now we've freed up time, right? Laura's freed up your time because you've gotten rid of the tasks that you actually dread. So when you think of it, it's not even just the time you spend doing the task. It is also all the dread time that comes before, and all the time after you have to recover from actually doing the draining task. You're not energized after you do this task. You're exhausted after this task. So it's not just, let's say it's an hour doing, what's an activity that you dread, Laura? It's absolutely dread.
Cooking dinner.
Oh yeah, you dread that. So the idea of the cooking dinner isn't actually just the time of Laura cooking the dinner. It's the dread that she had all the way through the day, going, "Oh my God, I have to cook dinner tonight. I don't even know what I'm planning." So she has this elephant in her head, the idea of the elephant in the room in her head, going like weighing her down, going, "Oh my God, I got to cook dinner tonight. Oh, geez," worrying about it all day, then actually doing the dinner. And now, after all that, she's exhausted. She just spent all this time during the day worrying about it, then actually completing activity that she wanted to do. Now she's exhausted after the fact. So just think of the weight off your shoulders by removing that draining task from your life. Now you have the ability to be the best version of yourself. Well, what are you going to do with that time? Well, Laura, what do you do with your time?
Play tennis. We have our Friday nights free we have a babysitter. We do whatever we want. I mean, sometimes we play tennis, we socialize with friends, go out for dinner. I'll stay at a girlfriend's house. What else do we do?
And do people sometimes ask you, and like, Laura, how do you have 3 kids? And at this time, we have a 7-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Do people ever ask you, hey, how do you do all this?
All the time.
And it's because you have the systems and processes in place, and you always delegate out the draining tasks that you don't want to do. So the answer is to your question is that whoever goes through this process will feel a huge weight lifted off your shoulders. You're going to get time back, and not just time back, present time back, the time that you can be present doing whatever you want to do, being intentional on what you want to do. And guess what? It's addictive. So once you do that, you're going to want to do more of it and focus more and more on being the person doing intentional things. And what the definition of intentional is, that the definition of intentional is whatever you're doing, you're solely focused on that one thing, giving it your full attention. That's the idea of being intentional and creating a household that allows you to be intentional. Because whenever you're showing up for something, you want to be solely focused on the thing that you're showing up for. You don't want other things nagging in your mind. You want to remove those. So it's not just showing up physically, it's showing up mentally as well. Laura, or Hun, as I'd like to call you, what's one example of a habit or system you've introduced at home that you think would make a difference for other families?
Easy. For me, it was outsourcing all of the tasks that drain me. And that is a part of the process we use with clients for intentional household. So it's going through all of the tasks that and I say we because there are tasks in the household that you are responsible for. So we're looking at all of the tasks that you and I need to complete to maintain the household, really. And these could be physical tasks and mental tasks, and identifying what I truly don't want to do, what drains my energy, what drains my time, and then identifying who can do that for me.
I'll jump in there to give like a concrete example. And just
Okay.
whenever there's something that Laura views as not working in a household, she's going to find a solution for that. So one of the ones was, we do have two dogs. We had dogs before we had children. And normally people have a dog walker that comes maybe in the afternoon or in the evening. But Laura found her biggest stress was in the morning with the dogs. Now, again, we have 3 young children. Our household is very busy in the morning. There's breakfast and everything like that. So we actually have a dog walker that comes in the morning, first thing in the morning, to take the dogs out, because that was the biggest stress point. So why I give the example of that story, it's something that I think is an outside of the box solution to a problem that someone may not think of. So when you're sitting down with Laura, or let's say you want to do this at home with your partner or spouse, there's always a solution to any draining task. And guess what? The world out there is fighting against intentional living. Society norms are fighting against you being intentional and living your best life. So whatever you think you should be doing but hate doing, you don't need to be doing it. There's a solution for you to get rid of that task and give yourself the freedom to live, again, that best version of you. So just there are so many examples of that in our household.
I guess one thing that you've made me realize is that anything is possible. Anything I want, anything is possible. And that's one thing that I try to remind clients, because they're like, maybe they would think, okay, yeah, I would love dog walking, but that's not a service that's available in my neighborhood. How do you know? Have you tried? Have you checked it out? Anything is possible. Write it down on paper and we can find a solution to make it happen. You just have to make an effort.
We'll just brainstorm that right now. There's no dog walking service available in the neighborhood. Are there no teenage kids in your neighborhood that want to make a little extra money? You just have to have the right communication with the individuals. Now you may be like, Alex, I dread talking to my neighbors or networking, that kind of stuff. And that's where Laura would come in and hold your hand. And she's done this. I've seen her do this over the past year with people and help them find those individuals because they just don't know how. But I love that you brought that up, because, hey, there's no dog walkers in the area. No, there's someone out there that will help you and wants to help you.
Yep.
Now I'm gonna pivot a little bit and just say that this year we had the luxury of going to Necker Island, which is Sir Richard Branson's home and island, and we stayed there for 4 days. And if you look up my name, Alex Wilson and Richard Branson, you'll see that I made international tabloids with him in a major bike accident. We got in together. Anyways, but what we learned on that trip, we met Sir Richard and we spent a whole week with him and had significant conversations with him. And it was incredible seeing someone that was truly living an intentional life. Think of how busy this individual is. And when we were sitting with him, he was with us. He was having conversations with us, genuinely interested in what we were saying, curious, playing chess, doing activities, doing all these different things. But he's a busy guy. You look at his Instagram, you look at all the companies he has. How is he able to do that? Well, he set himself up to live an intentional life. And it's not just the fact that he's a billionaire and he's able to do these things. No, he set himself up to live this life. Anyone can live this life. It just takes setting up the systems and processes and a dedication to living this style of life. Laura, what's your definition of intentionality and what's it like living an intentional life?
For me, it's living a life with purpose, and it's being present with my time and choosing how I want to spend my time. So for me, I really wanted to be present and available for my kids in the evening, which is, one of the tasks that I delegated out was cleaning up from dinner and washing the dishes because the kids are home. I wanted to be available, be able to play with them. So when the kids and I are playing in the evening, whether we're playing chess or the boys and I are running around, I want to be physically available for them, but I also want to be mentally present. I want to be able to play the game with them and not worry about, okay, well, after this, I'm going to have to wash the dishes. And then after this, I'm going to have to vacuum and clean up for the evening. I want to be able to be there and enjoy my time and not worry about the next to do that I have to do. So being able to have our housekeeper and our cook take care of those tasks for me so that I don't have to do them really allows me to be present so that I'm in the moment and I'm not just thinking about that to-do list that keeps going in my head.
And something for me that really sticks in my head, and it's people that have told me this, is that enjoying these moments with your children at this age, enjoy them now because they go faster than you think. And Laura and I are both from families where our fathers passed away when we were younger. So we both know that time is finite. So we have this finite amount of time with our children at this age, and we have a finite amount of time on this planet. And I'm in my 40s now. Laura's almost there. And it really hits home that if I didn't make these changes in my life to live intentionally, that I don't want to be looking back going, oh my God, I missed out on those times. I don't want that guilt in the future. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, this is not something that we did and we lived it. Hey, tomorrow we're living this. This is something we work on every single day and make, every year we do an annual planning event, make significant investments in us and living this intentional life. So I just want to let everyone know, hey, this is not something we wake up in the morning. Hey, we're going to live this life. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to live this way.
I guess the other thing about living with intentionality is being able to focus on how I want to spend not only today, but also my bigger future. And what steps do I have to take to put that into place and make it happen?
And I got to say a shout out to Strategic Coach with you saying bigger future, teaching us that bigger future lifestyle. And the idea of living the bigger future is, again, living with purpose, how you started off, living with purpose. If you live with purpose, then you're going to be motivated to live a life like this. Laura, I want to go a little deeper on what makes Intentional Household unique. Two different things. Number one, can you go over the different tools that you use that you're certified in to determine how people operate? And then number two, how do you get the household running like an organization?
So first of all, yeah, like you mentioned, we use Kolbe, which is a tool to help people to determine how they operate. In your business, we use Kolbe as a tool so that everyone can understand their strengths when it comes to how they operate, how they take action when they're free to be themselves. You and I have both done, and we use Kolbe personally,
We do.
so that we can work together to reduce any sort of stress or conflict. So when two people are working together, it really helps them to understand not only their own strengths, but the other person's strengths as well, so that they, like I said, can reduce the conflict.
And I would also say it also shows you what your triggers are too, because when we do our Colby together,
Mhm.
we live in a world of high potential conflict.
Yes, that's true. So we do have an understanding of where our high potential for conflict is, and we use the strategies to reduce the conflict. And we've been using Kolbe since about 2018. So we work really well together, even though we have a high potential for conflict. So we use that because when two people are running a household together, maybe it's a husband and wife, in order to effectively work together, it really is beneficial to understand how you operate. But also, when you are bringing other people into your household, you want to have an understanding of how they operate. Are they systems oriented? Can they create systems? Do they modify systems? Can they even follow a system, right? Do they like lots of facts and detail if we're even communicating with one another? Are they good with their hands? Can they build things, right? So all of those different factors help us to understand one another and whether someone is a fit for the role. So that is how we use Kolbe. And then Print is a motivational tool to help people to be their best selves and to improve, and it help them to grow and develop as an individual. So similarly, you and I use Print to understand, just by nature, you and I can trigger each other just by being ourselves. But we have an understanding of each other's triggers and how we can reduce the triggers. Again, we use Print both for your organization, and we use Print personally, and then I have brought Print into our household with our housekeeper, so I have an understanding of what motivates her and strategies on how to best communicate. For instance, do we best communicate via text message, email, or in person? And for her, it's in person. I could send some text messages to her, and you can't read the tone. And for her, that could be triggering to her.
Mm-hmm.
She likes peace and harmony. So we have an understanding. Both I have it of her, she has an understanding of my motivations, so that we can communicate effectively together, be our best selves, be productive, work well as a team.
Isn't that great, knowing the triggers of someone else and that other person knowing the triggers for you, so you know how to operate within those areas?
Well, I mean, especially if you have someone working in your household, you want this to be a space that's calm and free from stress. You don't want to be coming home and dreading having to face that person who you have high conflict with. So, instead, by using this, we can really work very well together as a team. We can get along very well and reduce the stress and be happy to come home to that person or that support or that team member who's working within the home and helping you.
And I heard you referencing my organization. So I run a real estate brokerage here in Toronto and Calgary. And why I'm bringing this up, and to kind of bring this full circle, is that the things that we do within our company, which is also an EOS run company, for anyone else that knows the EOS program, you are running the household like an organization. And do you think that's how it should be run?
Yeah, because we've had really great systems that we follow, which have been introduced, by EOS for your organization. And so why not introduce tools and systems in your home so that you can operate it like an organization, right? You need systems and processes in place to be successful and to achieve growth in your organization. Do you not want success in your own home organization, right? This is a place where you're all living together. You have to come home every night. So to have your household that is in chaos every day, it's very hard to be able to focus on work or achieve goals or anything like that. So to have your household running like an organization can allow you to really free your mind so that you can focus on the things that matter most to you.
And I'll also add, being again a person that isn't good at systems and processes, it's okay if your house is chaos. It's okay if you're not good at systems and processes. By realizing that that's not within your skill set, you can now take the next step to have systems and processes implemented in your household. That's the key. You don't need to be good at running an organization. You just have to find someone to help you do that.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I'm highly systems oriented. I like organization, I like processes, and I'm constantly creating processes and systems because that is how I thrive. However, if there's a household where you have two individuals who operate in chaos all the time, they aren't systems oriented, and they are looking to bring someone in to support them, let's say it was a housekeeper, you would be looking at that individual and seeing if they can create the system. Because if you can't do it, there is someone else who can create that system for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's what intentional household is, to show people that it is possible to have a household that is run like an organization. And with that, it will allow you to live the intentional life that you want to do. And speaking of living an intentional life, I think that's our next podcast.
If you like how this sounds, check us out for episode 2, where we dig deeper into what intentional living really means.
Want more of Intentional Household? Well, you can follow us on Instagram at Intentional Household. Check out our YouTube channel. Or you love the podcast, then subscribe wherever you catch your podcast episodes.